Hey guys, Zangus, and today I'm going to give you a full review of Windows 10. So just recently, Microsoft have actually released it to all the new tablets and devices actually running Windows 8. And the good news is that it's actually being released for free. So I'm definitely not a new user to Windows. For pretty much my entire life, I've been using Microsoft Windows from Windows XP all the way to Windows 8. So here I've actually got all the individual operating systems for the ones that I've used, and here I've actually labelled all the main things I liked about that OS. Each OS definitely has its pros and cons, but still my personal favourite has got to be Windows XP. When it comes down to actually using an OS, my first priority is, does it actually work? And for me, I found that when I was using all the individual OSs, Windows XP actually always never let me down. And of course, when Vista came along with improved graphics but much worse stability, it was kind of a joke. Now in 2015, we've got computers and laptops with much better hardware, so I really do hope that the performance of the new Windows 10 should be much smoother than all the previous OSs. That being said, even before using Windows 10, I was definitely expecting there to be quite a lot of bugs and glitches, and to be honest, this is mainly because when I've used the new OS, I've usually found that there are just always bugs. This is a huge problem on iOS and Android, and of course it is a main problem on desktop platforms as well. For Microsoft, the release of Windows 10 really is important, and that's mainly because of the ton of complaints that have been produced from Windows 8. For me, I find Microsoft are trying too hard for Windows 8, and that's mainly because of the huge development of tablets being produced, and they really were just trying to cram everything they could into a tablet mode rather than actually worrying about the desktop side of it. For me, Windows 8 just had too many limitations, and it just got incredibly frustrating. It was easy to use, but it was just annoying, and I'm really looking forward to actually getting back to a proper OS. Straight from the start, the boot for Windows 10 is actually fairly decent. I did actually find it was actually a little bit slower than Windows 8, but to be honest, I hope that this does get quicker from future updates. Windows 10 is definitely still in its early stages, and I'm hoping that they do improve the boot speed. I definitely found that after a couple of times there were some unexpected pauses and lags, but again, this is expected after a brand new OS being released. But after quite a lot of use, I definitely found that the boot for Windows 10 definitely was quick enough for me. One feature I've always wanted to have on a Windows OS is the ability to actually have more features and controls actually from the lock screen. With Windows 10, you now actually have the ability to control the Wi-Fi and a couple more features. I hope in the future they actually allow you to do a little bit more stuff, but for now I think it's absolutely fine. The lock screen is actually very similar to Windows 8, but this is not a problem at all. Again, there was more loading, which I found from actually logging in from the lock screen, but again, this will definitely be improved from updates. So once you log in, you're definitely going to be greeted with a UI that is definitely familiar for almost all Windows users. One of the main features, of course, that has been reunited is the Start menu. What I feel Microsoft have done has pretty much gone to the actual main screen of Windows 8 and actually crammed it into the Start menu, which I actually think is quite a nice idea. But of course, I still hope that they have the tile mode remain for tablets, because I thought that mode was actually really ideal for touchscreens, but again, not for desktop computers or main laptops. Probably the biggest feature for me is actually having much better accessibility from the side. I found that, for example, if I wanted to change the Bluetooth, I'd probably have to go to about 5 different settings just to change it, where from here I actually only have to go to 2 clicks just to change it. Lots of different menus and pages have definitely been redesigned, which is really nice. It's very clean and also really colourful as well. The great thing is that this layout was also really great for touchscreen and also desktop modes as well, which is really brilliant to see from Microsoft. I definitely found out when I was trying to move around the apps, there definitely weren't any problems, and again, there wasn't any lag either. For Windows 10 users in the UK, you might notice straight away that you don't actually have the ability to use Cortana, which is known as Microsoft's speech recognition software, just like Siri or Google Now. I assume this is something to do with the early release of Windows 10, but of course this definitely will be coming to all users from around the world, because this really is a main feature, and it's definitely going to change the way you actually use Windows in the future. But to actually see the main functionality of Windows 10, I really would have actually liked to use Cortana. Another nice touch is actually having the flexibility to actually change the appearance of the actual start menu, so if you actually want to increase the width of it, then you can easily do that. But again, there are some small things like maybe changing the background, which might be a bit confusing for some people straight away. Definitely one of the biggest changes is Microsoft actually scrapping Windows Explorer and changing their internet browser to Windows Edge, which I think is a really good idea, because I've been using Internet Explorer for years and holy crap is it absolutely terrible. For me, I actually found that when people asked me why their Internet Explorer isn't actually working, my response literally would always be every time, just download Google Chrome, and that literally would be the best solution. So for me, I usually found that the reputation of Internet Explorer just went down and down the better Google Chrome actually got, but I'm really hoping that Edge is actually better than it actually is said to be. Definitely one of my favourite things really has got to be the speed with Microsoft Edge, and this really was down to the fact that Microsoft Windows Explorer just really was slow. From using it, it really looks like they've actually sorted out the speed, and of course they've also sorted out the design as well, which is really nice to see. Overall, what I think Microsoft have done with their new Internet Explorer is actually really fantastic, and I'm really glad that they've done this. I really don't see why they didn't do this earlier, because they've completely destroyed the reputation of Internet Explorer, and I'm really glad that they've completely scrapped it. The great thing about this is that it's actually really impressive, reliable and quick from the first use, so I'm assuming from software updates that it's going to be even better. If Microsoft continue in this direction for their Internet Explorer, I actually assume that there will actually be more people using Microsoft Edge than actually Google Chrome. Seeing that Windows 10 has actually adapted the two main features from both the Windows 8 and 7 is really nice to see, because it is actually speedy and also has a nice design. The main problem now is going to be reliability, and that is due to the fact that it is actually quite laggy and sometimes can actually slow down. At the moment, I'm definitely not going to upgrade, and that truly is down to the reliability. I'm very happy with Windows 7, and that is really because it's reliable and quick and has a nice design. And again, that was the main reason I did not upgrade to Windows 8. One thing that confused me was actually the ability of the search bar. So the first time I actually searched for Game of Thrones, it only actually came up with one option, and that was to actually search it on the web. And the second time I actually did it, it actually came up with a lot more options, which I really just did not understand. So as you can see, I've typed in Game of Thrones again, exactly the same. And as you can see, it's come up with a lot more options, which I assume is just a delay from actually Windows. And to be honest, I again assume that that is just part of the reliability of Windows 10. So as I said before, small things like this I was definitely going to expect even before using the OS from previous experience, like using Windows XP, Windows Vista, and of course Windows 7 as well, and even Windows 8. But I hope that in the future and software updates that they'll fix small things like this to make it absolutely perfect. One of my favourite features is being able to actually have two different separate desktops. They should have done this a long time ago, because I actually had to install third-party apps for Windows just to have this feature, but now they've actually put it into Windows 10, it makes it much more attractive and also much more appealing as well. Certainly all users are definitely going to find this useful, as multitasking is a very popular feature used nowadays, and it's definitely going to make it a lot more advantaged for people like video editors and photo editors, and any kind of user that's actually going to switch between programs a lot. What's also great is that the design suits almost all modes, so it's going to be really great for touchscreen tablets, laptops, and even desktop computers as well. One feature that I actually really like is actually being able to sign into your Microsoft Xbox Live account, and I really like that because some people don't actually want to use the Xbox, so they don't actually want to sign in all the time. It's really nice that I can just sign in from Windows 10 and actually see all my friends, send some messages, and even see a couple of games that they're playing as well. One of the most rumoured features for the Xbox One and Windows 10 has actually been able to have the ability to actually stream your Xbox One games to the PC, and I really look forward to actually doing that. If Microsoft actually bring that feature to Windows and also the Xbox One, that's going to be a real game changer for them. Of course, one of the great features of using a PC is that you have so much capability and raw power, and that really does give you a clear advantage for gaming. So having the best of both worlds for the Xbox experience and the graphics from PC is going to be really awesome. Even just after using it for a couple of seconds, I really am impressed by the design and also the speed and usability. To be honest, it's actually so convenient. I don't really see why Microsoft didn't really do this before for Windows 8 or Windows 7, but I'm still really pleased with it, and I'm glad that it's in Windows 10. What's also great is that they haven't actually gone to every single individual app and just completely changed the design. They've taken a lot of nice designs from Windows 8 apps and actually just put it into Windows 10 with a lot of other nice great features as well. Of course, this is definitely going to make it stand out with all the new features compared to macOS. While Apple's macOS is a really solid operating system, I don't think it has enough features built into the apps compared to Windows, where they've just got tons and tons of features in almost every single new app. So overall, I'm actually really impressed with Windows 10. It ticks all the boxes for me when I actually look at a new OS. It is reliable, it is quick, and it's also a really nice designed one as well. Probably the most relieving thing is that it's actually going to be usable on desktop modes. That was the main problem with Windows 8, is that all the users actually were using it on desktops, and they were worrying too much about how many users were going to use it on tablets instead. What's great is that it's easily going to be usable for both desktops, laptops, and tablets as well. Anyway, that is just my opinion on Windows 10. Of course, if you did enjoy this review, then definitely be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.
Don't let